What we do here is go back.
How's it going, everyone, and welcome to episode 50 of the Lost Media podcast. Today we're talking about the Aqua Teen Hunger Force episode, Boston. It was leaked on January 31st, 2015, exactly 7 or 8 years, I think it was 8 years, after the Boston bomb scare to do with the promotion of the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie. I'm going to talk about the full backstory to do with what happened here, and I'm also going to talk about the Lost episode and how that was leaked. I don't actually know how it was leaked, but we're going to talk about what the reaction was like from the creators of the show and everything to do with it. So sit back, enjoy, and listen to a terrible podcast. It's not terrible, but I'm going to try and discuss it in the best way I can in a continuous podcast, because there is a lot to unravel here, and I'm going straight off memory. I don't have notes today for the podcast. I'm going straight off my brain. I do know a bit about this. I've been researching it for some years, but in bits and pieces, not really in a detailed view. So we're going to talk about this episode. I'm going to start with the bomb scare. So in 2007, in January 2007 to be specific, the creators of Aqua Teen Hunger Force and a massive task force who were trying to promote the movie, the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie, were setting up a bunch of light brights around Boston. There was some on freeway overpasses, underneath freeway tunnels. There was some on buildings, on street signs, pretty much everywhere around Boston they were setting these things up. And in a post 9/11 world, as the news said at the time, it's playing behind me, I think the news reports right now, it's a terrible idea. In a post 9/11 world, who in their right mind would do this? If you look at the light brights closely, they kind of resemble the mechanisms of a bomb in some ways. Not in a lot of ways. They just had some massive batteries on the bottom of them and a few little connections and like some writing on it that resembled a bomb in some sort of ways. And that's why people called in. Well, notably one person called the authorities and said when they were driving to work that day after they were set up, hey, I just saw something over the freeway on the top of me and it looks a bit scary and a bit dodgy. Most people didn't know this show. It was a very niche Adult Swim show, Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I'm going to get into the semantics of what that show was about in a second. But yeah, everyone freaked out. It went from a little, harmless little meme promotion of all these light brights everywhere to try and subtly promote their movie to a massive shitstorm. And the bomb squad was called in. Everyone, the whole 9 yards, FBI open up. Oh my God. The Texas Rangers were there. Everyone was there. I don't know if the Texas Rangers were there. This is Boston. But Walker, Texas Ranger was there. Everyone was there. And they found out, oh, no, this is just little light brights. This isn't a bomb. The creators of the show did a press conference and they were just talking about 1970s haircut styles. Because obviously the lawyers told them not to tell anything. But they kind of subtly talked about how these days you can't really do anything or get away with anything. Just have a bit of fun without everyone freaking out. They subtly said that, I think, in their little press conference interview about 1970s haircuts, which is quite bizarre to watch, but kind of funny. I think it's just a misunderstanding and a shame. I think these guys were shat on so badly back then. And actually, the person who approved this and told them, yeah, go out and set these things up, the person running Cartoon Network, I think the CEO actually, resigned shortly after this because it was partially his idea and he approved of it passionately when they said, hey, we want to do this to promote the movie. This should be good. I think it worked in promoting the movie. I think the movie got more money, but it also lost $2 million because that's what it cost the creators of this show. And also the guy did, one of the show's creators, I think both of them maybe did 60 hours of community service, and he made artwork around the city, which was quite nice. But yeah, he was genuinely like, they weren't taking the piss when they were saying 1970s haircuts. They were genuinely disappointed that people got scared with this and were concerned, but they were also pissed off at the overreaction. So that forced them to make didn't force them. It inspired them to make season 5, episode 1 of Aqua Teen Hunger Force Boston. I don't know the characters' names in Aqua Teen Fungus Force. I should reiterate, which is why I kind of freaked out just then trying to get to my point. I didn't grow up with these shows. I'm sure Aqua Teen Hunger Force was on SBS, actually, which is a television channel in Australia. But I did not grow up with these. They were before my time. So even if, these were on TV, I was too young to be watching them. And by the time I was old enough to be watching them, they would have stopped airing or would have had less episodes on the air. So I never knew the names of these characters. I did hear them in a documentary last night, but I was still just like, If you don't know Aqua Teen Hunger Force, the general gist of the show is you got 4 characters. One's a milkshake, one's McDonald's fries without the McDonald's logo on it. You got a meatball character that's very nervous all the time. And they're all kind of just meme-worthy. They're all kind of just taking the piss. And the general animation style, I guess you could call it, of this show is literally just stock images taken of famous people placed in and cropped out like it's you're cutting out people's pictures from a magazine and putting them on a wall, but that's what they actually had in this show as the characters, and they're just like moving around and they're talking except for the main characters. And each episode costs $60,000 to make. For comparison, each episode of Family Guy cost $2 million to make. So considering the lack of budget, this was a very wholesome show and everyone liked it. When it comes to season 5, episode 1 of Boston, this was approved to be made. Again, the same shit as Angry Beavers. Oh, let's approve it. Oh, you're almost finished? Let's have a watch. Oh, this can't ever be aired. Too controversial. They always do this shit. So they made most of the episode, and we only found out how much they made when this was leaked. But they made almost 95% to 100% of this. The only thing that was missing was a couple of scenes where the animation wasn't properly colored. There was not enough coloring done of all the characters. And that's really irrelevant when you look at the episode. It really doesn't make that much of a difference, in my opinion. The episode is about to play behind me in this little podcast. But I am using a screen record off archive.org to avoid copyright. It might still give a copyright claim to this channel, but that's okay. We'll just live with it. And that, there'll be a play or pause button in the middle of the screen. I'm sorry. I had to do that, or else, I could get a serious claim. It playing behind me, though, with a screen record from archive.org from the Boston episode should be okay, but we'll see how we go. The gist of this episode is basically the characters subtly have a few little issues, and they're trying to promote themselves. I actually don't know. I listened to the entire plot of this episode last night, and there was a lot going on. I gotta be honest. So all I can remember is Meatball is the light bright that the woman saw on the overpass. He is the light bright. Despite that being another character, all those light brights on the show. He's kind of he's lighting up, and he's getting people's attention, and he's making a scene. And then the end of the episode basically has the SWAT team coming in because the fat guy who always dies in the show is apparently a bomb. So he's murdered, or he blows up as you dies for another time. It's kind of like Who Killed Kenny, but in this show, Kenny dying all the time. And then the milkshake blows up because he was the bomb, and that's the end of the episode. Really good episode, I thought. I didn't watch Aqua Teen. This is probably the only Aqua Teen Hunger Force episode I've properly watched. I have seen countless reviews of the show, but or not really even properly watched, like partially watched. I loved the oh my god, I love the balls to make this. And another, I don't know why they even bothered, to tell you the truth. I love that they made this, but even though the network approved, I can't imagine they would have approved strongly and said, yes, you can do this, sure. I think they would have been like, yeah, sure, or whatever, we're busy with something else, just do that. They would have just glossed over it and not really properly looked into what they were doing, which is typical of television stations. That's just what they do. And they would have just been like, yeah, just do it. And then when they saw the nearly finished product, they're just like, oh, wait a minute, we can't air this. So it happens. In the season 5 box set of Aqua Teen Hunger Force, there is a screenshot from this episode on the DVD cover. And this was released years before the episode was released. I should point out Rebeltaxi's video on this. I'm going to put it in the description, even though it's not playing behind me, because I always reference videos playing behind me in the description, so I don't look like I'm just ripping their video. And I want to give them credit, of course. His video was made before this episode was leaked, and it's really interesting to watch him talking about how it should be released and how it should be found out and released to the public. It should be there for people to see. What actually happened was the creators of the show said, as a joke, I presume, we'll release it in 2098. We'll release this episode, and it'll be the grand airing of Aqua Teen Hunger Force Boston. But apparently it was in the Cartoon Network's database in the Adult Swim archives, uploaded to the website as like a private file. And a hacker went on there, he got in there into the databases and saw it as a private file. This is what I'm presuming. I'm almost sure actually this is what happened. You can correct me though. Please correct me in the comments. Tell me to get stuffed if I'm really spreading misinformation about what happened here. And then that guy leaked it online as an anonymous leak. The creators, exactly 8 years after it happened, so 2015, if my maths is correctly. If my maths is correctly. Gee whiz, there's so many bits you could take out of these podcasts that would embarrass me. It's very hard making YouTube videos, more like podcasts, but uploading these videos as one continuous recording. You guys, give me a pat on the fucking back. So the creators are disappointed. They're just like, look, we wish this wasn't leaked. Like, we did not want this to be leaked anytime soon. And they claim that they were going to release the episode and air it on television later on that year, but everyone's like, bullshit. But it did get taken down not long after it being uploaded to YouTube, I think a couple months after, but by then, so many people have downloaded it and mirrored it, and it's everywhere. It's still online on archive.org, obviously playing behind me, which is a shame. That the creators didn't want it up yet, but these things just happen. Someone was a mega Aqua Teen Hunger Force fan and who had hacking skills. Well, gotta have those hacking skills, and was just like, fuck this, I'm not waiting for this, I'm gonna freaking hack into the databases and see if it's sitting there. And lo and behold, it's sitting there, so there you go, guys. There's Boston, enjoy. Yeah, it's a fascinating piece of lost media, found lost media at that. People say it's partially still lost because the animation is unfinished. I don't think it makes a huge difference, but then again, I'm not an animation obsessed person. I do like animated shows, but I'm not really obsessive with things being finished, especially stuff from years ago. But yeah, I think it's a shame that Boston was unfinished and it wasn't released. It's obviously not meant to be released in this state. And a show that's obviously airing on television, and all the episodes that have been aired are finished episodes that are meant to look proper and be finished, and then this one gets leaked and it's not a proper episode yet. So I could understand why the creators are a bit pissed and just saddened. I think they were just sad and disappointed that it got leaked. But that happens, these things happen. Have I already said that happens? Oh god. The general gist of this is that we never forget, guys. We never forget the 31st of the 1st, 2007. The scare, the Boston bomb scare of this. Another obvious attribute, if I can get my words out, to this not being released and the release being pushed back was the 2012 Boston bombings. Obviously, that's clearly going to stop it even more from being released. I think Rebeltaxi's video was made before or after that. I think he mentioned it, and he said this is probably gonna push back the release, and it did. I have a feeling it wasn't going to be released later in 2015. I think they were just going to leave it and it was going to remain as lost media. So is it a good thing that it got leaked? Yes and no. I think it's a bit dog to release someone's creative properties and creative work without asking them, and just being like, here you go, everyone. Oh, here it is. It's a bit like, dude, really? Maybe just watch it yourself. If you hack into it and you see it, maybe just watch it yourself and don't leak it to the internet. I think that's a bit disrespectful. But a lot of Aqua Teen Hunger Force fans would be grateful that they got to see this. In fact, all of them would be grateful they got to see this. Who am I kidding? Everyone wants to see this. Would rather it be leaked. Anyway, guys, that's the story. that's this piece of lost media history. It's a very fascinating one, in my opinion. It is another piece of found lost media. I like looking at lost media. I'm going to look at a really tedious one in the next episode that's being uploaded today. That is found lost media, but lost media that won't be released. It's going to be interesting. Until then, guys, have a nice day. Not that stereophonic song reference again, dude. Thanks, guys. The end. Goodbye. This is just awesome.